Hey guys, what is up? It is your e-girl in crisis, Speedy. So before I get into this, I am going to start with spoilers will be had in this. So if you haven't watched the new Black Widow movie yet, watch it, then come back to this. But if you don't mind spoilers, go ahead, stick around, let's discuss this movie. Now, I don't know how everyone else felt about it, but I do know that I genuinely enjoyed it. And I was concerned going into it because I am a huge Blonde Widow fan. To me, Yelena Belova is the superior Widow. Not sorry, that's just my opinion on it. Anyway, sorry, this eyebrow did come out a little wild though, so let's take care of this first. Anyway. But I was very pleasantly surprised, even with the inclusion of some of the heavier topics that they did go into through the movie. What I like is that they were able to bring certain things, horrible things, human trafficking, political involvement, everything, into the light, but did it in a way that was not destructive to the movie. If anything, it flowed well with the movie and with the story being told within the movie. It wasn't anything over the top. Yeah, we're just gonna light these guys off. I'm not letting them. Anyway, now that I'm back to not having eyebrows, I'll work on some other part of my face while that dries. But they did it in such a way that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the way they brought these subjects to light in a non-woke kind of way. But more importantly, House of Mouse and Marvel absolutely killed it with the Black Widow story. I mean, that movie was incredible. I fucking loved it. I mean, my two complaints, because I only have two. Yeah, shocking. The girl who complains about everything only has two. Is the fact that one, and I think most people who read the comic books, whatever, would probably be like, yeah, it wasn't the Taskmaster we were expecting, but still would have loved to have a little bit more Taskmaster involved in it. Would have liked to have seen Taskmaster just a little bit more. I mean, it is what it is. And then the other thing for me was the fact that we didn't get the quote-unquote Winter Widow stories with Bucky and Nat, which, again, I would have loved to have seen that. I kind of get that really didn't fit into the narrative of the story that they were telling this time around. And I've read a lot lately that they're actually considering giving the Winter Widow storyline to more Bucky and Yelena. And honestly, if it's done right, I am not going to be mad about it. I think for those two characters, in the MCU at least, it's probably going to end up making sense. You know what I mean? I think it'll work. In the MCU, I would have preferred it to have been Nat because in the comic books it was Natasha, but beggars can't be choosers, and the House of Mouse does what it wants, and that's fine. Because generally, at least in their comic book, movies, TV series, that kind of regard, they've kind of managed to knock it out of the park. I think it'd be better if they stayed more away from this woke everything bullshit. Yes, the woke movement, I get it. There's things that need to be discussed. But there's also, don't destroy other stuff either. Moving on before I get into a rant. Now, the Yelena Belova we got. I was terrified. I went and saw the movie opening night. Went into the early premiere, whatever. And at first, I was very apprehensive in general, overall, for this movie. Like, I had a lot of concerns going into it. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be what I think it should be? You know, overanalyzing nerd shit. Par for the course. But, whew, were my concerns put to rest, and quickly, I might add. Like, it was everything it should have been and more, honestly. The movie was incredible. They did Yelena so well. Like, for their version of her, they did it very, very well. So I'm not even mad about it. Like, I'm like, you know what? It worked. It was good. I can't wait to see more Yelena. Obviously, again, I'm a bit biased. She is my favorite, of the widows. But we're not just here to talk about the widows. We're also here to discuss the movie itself. Which, again, I cannot say enough good things about this movie. And that's the thing. I usually can find something to bitch about, even if it's minor. Like I said, my only real complaints were that we didn't get more like Taskmaster. We didn't get Winter Widow, which again, can be forgiven. So, I mean, and even when they went into the girls as children, Mila Jovovich's daughter, ever. I think it's her and Paul Anderson's daughter, ever. Killed it. Incredible performance. It was just, I don't even know. That child's performance was epic and so believable and heartbreaking. And all of the things that it was supposed to be. Like, the kid sold it. Hands down. But just that opening credit scene with the slowed down version of Smells Like Teen Spirit, especially as someone who grew up in the 90s listening to the original version by Nirvana. Like, that song hit a whole lot different in that movie than how it previously has, for me, at least. Just slowed down, done a little different. I loved it. I thought it was wonderful. Definitely have it through Apple, so I can listen to it whenever I want in my car. Or maybe I have it on my Spotify. I don't know. I have it. That's kind of the whole point. That's where I was going with that. It really good. That's all there is to it. It's just really good. And the images shown in the opening, and usually it's the end of the Marvel movies where you feel the most. At least that's kind of what I've discovered with them, is it's usually not till the end that I'm full of emotion. But with Black Widow, from the beginning, it had emotion, and it felt different. It really did. It felt different than the TV series that they've done with the MCU characters. It felt different than a lot of the other MCU films. It just, I don't know how to describe it, but it was amazing is what it was. And I mean, the whole theater, like, you could have heard a pin drop. Like, it got that silent during the opening, which is pretty fucking impressive nowadays. Because usually somebody's got to be fucking Brenda from Scary Movie 2, eating her chicken, throwing her popcorns with the hot sauce on the phone. If you haven't seen Scary Movie 2, I don't know how the hell you got to my channel, but you should just leave. Like, if you haven't seen the scary movies, just go. You don't belong here. I don't know who you are, where you came from, but you don't belong here. So, the story itself. One, the fact that it is set after Winter Soldier. I had to think about that. You know, it kind of it sets up for her being on the run in the beginning. After you see her childhood, you see her on the run and kind of just returning almost to her roots, just to try and lay low in a place where she won't be found, or she thinks she won't be found, we'll put it that way. And of course, with the whole everything going on with Yelena and her stealing, basically, the thing to cure the widows from the chemical mind control, of course it comes to Natasha from her hideout in Budapest. And finally, we get to go to Budapest and see kind of what happened there and why she, it's one of those things that she really, they bring up, they talk about her and Hawkeye, but they never went into. And once they kind of show you when she's there, like, exactly why she doesn't talk about Budapest, it kind of makes sense. Because she did kill a man's daughter just to basically make sure that this guy was there and that bringing him down was possible so she could defect. I mean, so she's under the assumption that this gentleman is dead. That there's no more widow program because this guy isn't out causing all this ruckus because he died in this explosion, with his daughter. Which, I mean, that's fair. You're not going to dig through rubble to confirm a kill. You're going to want to get the fuck out as quickly as possible. Which, of course, turned out to not be so easy. You have, at one point, it shows the hideout in Budapest. Actually, it's first where she reunites with Yelena. So, I mean, you see the hideout in Budapest. You see all the fucking arrow holes in the wall and stuff. And then later on, they're hiding out together in a tunnel. And Yelena makes a comment about being cozy. And she sees the tic-tac-toe stuff and everything from Nat and Hawkeye having been in those tunnels for days, trying to hide and not get caught. So you finally get the whole Budapest story, which is nice. Because I think a lot of us for a while were like, well, what the hell happened in Budapest? Can someone tell us? Like, we want to be in on it. We want to know. Come on, let us be with the cool kids. Anyway, sorry, I'm tired. I worked all day. Anyway, so you have that. And then, of course, you have everything else that's going on within the story, which kind of focuses on how to pick up the pieces for Nat once again. And the fact that she's just been reunited with Yelena that she hasn't seen in years. I mean, it's a lot. And Yelena even asks her, why didn't you, after you killed him, after you thought the widow program was done, why didn't you come look for me? Why didn't you come get me? Any of these things. And Nat, her answer is definitely a cop-out. And definitely not really an answer. And Yelena kind of picks up on that, like, girl, you lying. Like, now you're just being rude and you're lying about it, but whatever. Which, I mean, it is an interesting dynamic. Just because it starts, this is one of these movies that starts and really, it doesn't let up at all throughout the whole way through, which, again, makes sense. It's not supposed to be a light, happy movie. So, it heavily involves Natasha and Yelena's relationship as siblings, as assassins, as what they truly were to each other and what they really weren't. Because at one point, Yelena's upset, and rightfully so, because it's her, Natasha, Alexei, and Melina, I want to say, all back together, finally. And they're sitting at the table, drinking, all of the things. And Natasha makes a comment of, can we just stop pretending we're family? We never were a family. And this is where Yelena gets upset. And she points out the fact of the matter that to her, it was very real. They were her family. To her, they were her world. They were her life. You know, she was a child when all of this started for them. So to her, it wasn't fake. It wasn't just a job. It was her real parents. Which, again, like, super impactful statement of, you know, child, someone who's a trained killer, pointing out the fact that, okay, but to me it was real. Like, this, the family love we had, the bonds, like, even though to you all it was fake and it was just a job, to me it was very, very real. So I kind of, you know, you kind of feel for Yelena in that moment, because she's pointing out, like, hey, assholes, while you all are cool with being like, yeah, it was just a job, it was never a real family, to me, it was more than a job. It was, you guys were my family. It wasn't fake to her. So I kind of like that they touched on that. Oh yeah, that's what I was doing. It's still not done, but whatever. We're moving on. So you have that. I mean, and just, this scene's been talked about a whole bunch everywhere. I've seen it everywhere this last week. When they break Alexei out of prison, and he makes a comment about, you know, oh, are you mad because you're on your period, basically is what he says. And Yelena, in, like, very scientifically, I mean, like, real scientifically termed words, no hesitation, breaks down to the fact that, oh, no, you see, I can't have that because once the Red Room has you, they don't want you to be able to have children. So they make sure that you can't. And you can never undo it. Which is interesting because earlier on in the movie, she had said something to Natasha about, I mean, do you ever think about what it'd be like to have kids? And how, even, like, while Yelena doesn't want kids, she's like, it'd be nice to have a dog. Like, so you get this feeling, and by Alexei's reaction, that he may not have known exactly what was going to happen to them in the Red Room. He's just excited to see them, and just excited to be part of the group and be like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go kill this guy. By the way, I have no idea where this guy is, so let's go find the woman that was your girl, you know, your mother. And they're both kind of shocked because they truly believe that she was dead and that she had been dead for a long time. So when he's like, nah, she's alive. Let's go see her. To them, it's shocking, as, I mean, you know, as shocked as one can be for living that type of life, I guess. So they do. You know, they show up at her house and they're like, hey, we're here to party now. They explain how they want to go ahead and kill this guy. And this is where they have the very touching moment of, you know, to me, this wasn't, you know, this never was real. So as Alexei is in the back room with Yelena, having this discussion and explaining that, you know, to him, it was real. Like, he finally admits that it was real. And, I mean, he has, if you watch the movie and you look closely at the scene of him in jail arm wrestling, you will notice that he actually has both the girls' names tattooed on his arm when he is arm wrestling. It's on his upper arm. So he, in his own way, had been holding out to, you know, it being real for him, even if he didn't want to admit it to everyone. He finally does. He's like, you know what, yeah, to me it was real. And they're having This very emotional, touching moment. And of course, that's when everything goes sideways. And not in the good kind of wholesome way either. And the guns are blazing, people are falling down kind of way. But while they're having this discussion, Nat and Melina, I hope that's her name, I could be wrong, again, I could be wrong, are talking because Natasha finds a book from when they were all together that she had specifically been told to leave. And that's when it's explained to her that Melina couldn't leave the book behind because she wanted the memories of the girls and with Alexei. So, in her own way, at that point, she's kind of admitting to Natasha, like, you know what? It was real for me, too. Like, it was real for me. It was obviously real for Elena. The whole spiel. Which is fine. But they really don't get to have more of a moment than that. Because at this point, soldiers from the Red Room are crashing in. And they're like, y'all are coming with us. Like, we're done. You're coming with us. And it also appears that Natasha and Yelena and Alexei have been betrayed by Melina, who still very much so works for the Red Room and everyone in charge, which leads way to them all being captured and having quite an epic showdown, as one expects. With these movies, they all have that big epic showdown. But this time, there's something about this one, and again, maybe it's just me, but to me, this one's dramatic ending did hit a little bit different. Because this movie sets up for the vest that Nat wears, for all of the things that, you know, you see her with, and what has transpired since. So it got heavy, and it set up a lot of things, basically. However, when the end credits rolled for the special scene at the very end, where it's showing. Now, Nat's mother, her grave had been described to her by the villain, because she wanted to know, like, who was her mother really? Like, who was her real mother, and how did she end up where she did? Well, she is told it is under a cherry blossom tree in America, but not where. Not where in America, just it's in America, under this tree. So at the end of the movie, you see said tree, and you see Elena walking up with the dog, whistling the same tune that her and Nat used to whistle to each other to find each other, basically. So, while this is happening, though, you finally get Val, Madam Hydra. No, I will not repeat that. You heard me. Coming over. And making Elena an offer to kill the man that is the reason Natasha is dead. Hawkeye. And how she wanted to hand deliver it. Well, this set up several different things to me. One, with this addition to her team, they could be looking at eventually going into a Thunderbolt series, Dark Avengers series, stuff like that. They could also be looking at building Yelena as the bad guy for now, and then having her switch sides just like Natasha did. I know, I'm awful. But which was something interesting to me at least, was, okay, are we going to get to see badass hell-raising Yelena Belova finally? Or are they going to take this opportunity, since there's no more Black Widow, to kind of have her join the team eventually as the next Black Widow? What are your guys' thoughts on that? Are they setting her up to be the new Black Widow, do you think? I don't know what the fuck is going on with my eyebrows right now, but I mean, it is what it is. Okay, it is what it is. There we go. Kinda. They have been fighting me this whole time. Today has not been a good eyebrow day. Anyway, as I was saying, you know, to me, they could be using it to set up for a lot of different things. I personally would absolutely love if they did a Thunderbolts series. I think that would be great. Like, Thunderbolts definitely is one of my favorites. It's definitely a really good time. It's a really interesting look at these characters as well. I will admit, though, the last... Oh, God, my eyebrows are so scary right now, and I don't know how to fix them, so we're just gonna... That's even worse, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Oof. Anyway, let me wipe these off again. We'll try this again. Anyway. I mean, what do you guys think? Are we going Thunderbolts? Dark Avengers? Or is this just kind of a way to introduce new characters? And I'm just one of those people that's reading way too far into it. I mean, it's cool. That's the case and that's what's going on. Like, you can tell me. I won't be hurt. But yeah, so I think overall the movie was very well done. The characters were very well written. They definitely told their story that they were trying to tell. And they definitely brought things to people's attention in a way that didn't damage the story at all, but also wasn't like in your face obnoxious either, which was super important. At least I think. Again, I don't know. These are my thoughts, not yours. What else? Oh, the clothes in it. And can we... Okay. You know what? No. Not the clothes. The vest. The freaking vest. Okay. So, the vest that Nat wears is Yelena's. And you actually see this vest and how this vest came into existence in Black Widow. Which is great, because that vest is just great. I'm gonna need some vests after this movie. The vest is incredible, but the vest also, as incredible as it is equally heartbreaking. Because it is kind of what led me, at least, and I don't know if this is true or not, but led me to believe that during Thanos' snap, that the reason, and again, I might be reading too much into this, but that the reason that Natasha was so willing to sacrifice herself was because Yelena had been snapped out of existence during the initial snap, and it was the only way to get Yelena back, to get all of them back. So for her, dying wasn't a big deal to her because it brought all these people back that shouldn't have been snapped out of existence in her mind. I don't know. That's my thought on it, at least. It just seems like that's why she did it, but I could be wrong. I mean, that does make it actually a lot sadder that she jumped to bring these people back, and now Madam Hydra is going to be running around using them for her evil bidding. Well, not them, Yelena, using her for her evil bidding. And, you know, she's sending Yelena after Hawkeye because Hawkeye was with her, with Yelena not probably being totally aware of the entire story. And, hold on. Trust the process. But, you know, so she's sending Yelena in after Hawkeye, not knowing that Hawkeye did not want Nat to die. That Hawkeye was willing to sacrifice himself to even bring these people back. But Yelena doesn't know any of this. She knows he's alive and Natasha's not, and that they are together. So as all angry female, she's on a mainland to kill type of mission, which we'll see in Hawkeye series, hopefully. If they set all that up and they're not doing anything with it, that's bullshit. This is a little bit more complicated than I thought. I feel like there should be elevator music playing or something. Cats screaming. I don't know. Anything. Do 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 do. Like that? Yeah. Yeah, see, this is what happens when I'm left unsupervised. But, yeah, in all honesty, great movie, great soundtrack, great cast. Like I said, I had minor complaints. And I would definitely recommend it. To, like, even non-comic book fans. It was just that good of a movie that I feel like non-comic book fans would even appreciate it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. House of Mouse took me for a lot of money. Actually took Kyle for a lot of money. 'Cause not only did we go see it opening night, we bought it off of Disney Plus as well, so we could watch it here whenever we wanted. And, you know, it's kind of been our thing, honestly, is watching Black Widow and just relaxing when we have a chance. But it's definitely one of those that, like I said, non-comic book fans would still enjoy and still love. So I definitely recommend. 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. Sorry, this was more of a ramble than educational at all. I do plan on doing an actual video on the Black Widows, but I'm going to be doing them as character specifics. And it'll be more comparing their comic book style to the movie style. But that is it for this video. Basically, moral of the whole thing, go see the Black Widow movie. It's amazing. Even if you're not a comic book fan, just give it a chance. You might like it. Have a happy and safe week, and I'll see you all later. Bye.